Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back at Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, a warm welcome to those of you who are new. So it's time to come back to a question I get a lot from you guys, and it's about whether your person is coming back or not. And that's whether the gap between you is actually a physical separation or if it's more of an emotional one, and people are in different places, like I was saying in the thank you reading a while back. Sometimes it's a totally anguished question where the person is in that energy where they're just trying to get by to the next day or maybe the next moment, and other times they're past that. They're in separation. They're okay with it if their person comes back. They're okay with it if their person doesn't come back, and they just still think about it and want to know. But so when you guys send me notes, you're everywhere in between. So I know you're in different places on the healing timeline. What I will say is there are a lot of patterns forming. A lot of you are in separation with your person, for one thing, or at least not in very close or useful communication with them. So this message is especially for you. But even if you're not in that physical separation, even if your person is there, like an estranged spouse or something, there's still something in this reading for you. So today we're going to take a look at whether they're going to start moving back toward you energetically more than anything. That's the first step before they do it in the physical realm. Many of you have that runner chaser dynamic going on, and so many of you aren't chasing your runners. We're going to look to see where they are in their own timelines because we all know they have their own lessons to learn in this situation too. And of course, these are general readings for all signs. They may not resonate with everybody, but this is a pick a pile, so you can pick the best reading for you. If you enjoy the videos, please be sure to like, share, subscribe so you'll be able to stick with me. And just, I would say, keep the questions coming. Keep letting me know what it is that you'd like to hear about. So it's time to pick your pile. We have pile 1 with the clear quartz, then pile 2 with the tiger's eye, and pile 3 with green aventurine. And as I always say, don't overthink it. Just take a couple breaths, let yourself drift toward one of the piles, watch more than one if you feel drawn to more than one. Pause it if you have to. If you choose pile 1, it'll be coming up momentarily. For piles 2 or 3, check out the link timestamps down below. So pick your pile and let's get started. Okay, so if you picked pile one has the clear quartz, has an awesome feel to it. And I'm going to be reading for you from the Naked Heart Tarot and then clarifying with the Marchetti Tarot. So those two really seem to want to work together today. We're going to take a look at what's happening with with your person, whether they are coming back, whether they are moving in the other direction, kind of energetically, what's happening there. So let's see what wants to come out for you. Let's get your current energy first. And this is the current energy that's flowing between the two of you. Sometimes when we clarify, we even might learn a little bit about kind of how we got to where we are and, how we got to this current energy, or just a little bit of clarity around what's happening there. So let's see, just taking the top card, we've got the Earth Mother in reverse. And so this is like the Empress card, and it's in reverse, and the feeling that's coming off of this card is all about undeveloped. Something is not ready for something's not ready yet. It might be a person that's not ready for another one, might be a person that's not ready for a situation, might be a couple of them. So we'll clarify in a little bit, but mostly what we're seeing here is something is undeveloped and not quite ready, not at that point in the game yet. So let's take a step back and see how your person feels about this relationship. Let's take a look at how your person is feeling about the relationship. We got a brick of cards that came out. We just want the top one. I just always take the top one unless I'm drawn to take more than one. But here we have the tower. So this relationship has really created some tumultuous energy for your person. And we'll again look into it because it's not always a bad thing to have tumultuous energy. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes this is the catalyst, the activation energy that helps you move into a new place that's actually a really good and healthy place for you to go. You just need something to kind of start that fire, so to speak. And so maybe that's what this is. I get a little bit of that feeling off of it, but like I said, we'll learn a little bit more when we clarify because I'm almost getting the sense that the current energy is, wow, I realize I'm just not ready for this. I'm not far enough along the path to be able to make heads or tails of everything that's happening to me here. And yet, then we've got this situation over here where you're kind of having your mind blown, or they're having their mind blown because this is their impression of the relationship. So let's get their impression of you here, just how they feel about you. Um, we know that the relationship itself with you really has they think about it as being a very intense sort of thing. So the 7 of Wands, and this is a confident sort of 7 of Wands, and it's a good feeling because it feels like you guys are both heading in the same direction, but every once in a while there's a little bit of friction there. So it's generally a very good feeling, but there's just a little bit of that edge, and maybe we'll explore that a little bit later or learn a little bit more about that later. Generally, it's very positive. There's a lot of passion here, a lot of like I said, wanting to go in the same direction. It's almost like when we had a card come out in a different reading where the people in were just kind of like standing shoulder to shoulder and facing the world, and together they could do anything, and there's kind of that feeling to this card here. So but there's also that edge, like I said, something there. Something is a little bit difficult, and then of course we can see that something is a little bit difficult here because you're really making them think. You're kind of creating a tumultuous energy within them, which again, like I said, we'll look into, but it seems like they're not feeling like they're ready for it. Or that could be a little bit with you too. So let's see what it is that they would want to happen here. And with this question, I'm often asking for the universe to expose kind of their hopes and fears a little bit in this. So tell us what's going on here and what this person wants. So they want you to work together. The Three of Pentacles is a card of cooperation, and in this case, it's pulling the forces together to for a single a common goal. So that's what they want. They want cooperation. They want for things to be copacetic. Seems like there's some degree of conflict that is making things less copacetic, but what they really wish was that they didn't have to have the struggle. So let's see what other kind of hidden energies are in there and just what else Spirit wants you to know. So this is energies that you would not necessarily be aware of because of where you're standing. So it isn't that you should have picked up on this. It's really more that these are things that it would be great for you to be aware of. Universe wants for you to know. This is an opportunity for that message to come through, but it's not something that you should have figured out by now. Okay, so something isn't right, and that's the feeling coming off of that Justice card that has come out in the reverse. And here, I'll hold it up so you can see it. So you see this, the scales are suspended atop this sword here, and that's where you're able to see the balance. And here things are out of balance. Again, something is not quite right. So we'll look a little bit more into that, but that's in the hidden energies. First, I want to understand what is coming for you here. So the way that I typically ask this question is not like a long term down the road what's coming, but more of a near term, what do you expect? What is the energy favorable for? Because, of course, you're talking about people's free will. People can do anything that they set their mind to, and sometimes it's not what it's not necessarily what you would expect it to be. People have their own free will. They're able to make their own decisions, and they're able to override some of the signals that come from the universe. So when we look to see, wow, hold on though, this is the Star. So okay. This is really kind of an amazing energy. This is what's coming to you in the near future. Again, not necessarily off in the distance. And the star in the reverse is something you have to wait for. And so we did say we wanted to know kind of what was coming in the near future, but the star is like a wish. This is a hope, something that you have faith in, you know. So let's look a little bit more into that. I am excited to start clarifying here and to understand a little bit more of what's happening. So, again, that was the Naked Heart Tarot. And this is going to be Sarah Marchetti's Marchetti Tarot. So, we're going to go ahead and start with this Earth Mother here. And this is more than one card, so I'm not going to take it. If just one falls down, then I'll pick it up. I'll turn it over and take it. But if it's multiple cards, I tend not to do that. All right, let's see here. So, looking at the Earth Mother, and this is that feeling of not being prepared for something, not being ready, not being evolved or developed enough. I got that developed sort of feeling to it. It isn't that it can't happen, it's just that somebody's feeling like they're not ready. So we have the Ace of Cups. Okay, so that Ace of Cups refers to the flow of emotion. Okay, and we also have the Magician card. Okay, so they feel like there is a lot of love here, but they're not capable of making a move and making it happen. The Magician card is that card that here lately has meant just manifestation. It has been pure manifestation, and it's that manifestation energy, but it's also kind of the ability to change and transmute what's happening in your environment and to change it into something else. So here's a situation where the current energy is not being able to do that. Like there's something here that's not developed, and there's no way to get traction in order to make that change. But there's love, okay? There's love involved here, and they can't really get to it. So this is the energy between you and your person right now. So there is a great deal of love between you. And I feel like both of you know that. I feel like both of you are able to feel that, but you're also able to feel how your hands are sort of energetically tied. And maybe you feel a little raw. You're not quite ready to deal with all these emotions yet, but here they are, right? I mean, I don't know when you would ever be ready to experience some of what I'm hearing from you guys and the ways that you're experiencing it. Some of the things that I've even experienced myself in some cases, but it's just when I dip into this energy, this is particularly challenging. It's a tough place to be. It's a tough place to be. And so that's kind of where we find ourselves in the current energy. So then looking into how your person sees the relationship. And remember, we're trying to figure out if they're coming back. So we've seen this wish come true over here, but we need to qualify it because we know there's a lot more going on over here. There's something that, it's a ton of love, but there's not necessarily the manifestation energy to make it happen. You have rocked their world. Let's get a little bit more clarity on that. That tower card is not one to mess with. And like I said, not all towers, I don't remember if I said it in this reading or a different one, but not all towers are bad. Not all towers are difficult places to, well, they're usually difficult places to be. There's usually a lot of change that happens there. But if it's change that's moving in a direction, like if you want to have children and the experience that happens when you have one could be described as a tower experience, and yet if you're very much in favor of having children, it's not necessarily a bad tower. It's just, boy, is it still tumultuous experience, emotion, and just kind of a lot going on. So whatever this is for this person, you represent, or your relationship together represents that tower and that tumultuous energy. This has not been a walk in the park for them. So we see here the Knight of Cups. And so the Knight of Cups is about it's about an action, but it's an action born of emotion. So there's not necessarily a lot of thinking in this. You have when you look at like the cups are going to be all about emotion, but when you look at the Queen of Cups, it's this ongoing flow of love that just it's everything. When you look at the King of Cups, it's this desire to remain emotionally stable. And when you look at the Knight of Cups, It's about, they also have sort of this emotionally stable core to them, but they aren't mixing in much of their logic. So it is potentially very passionate, you know. So let's see what else comes from that. That Tower card. Okay, so we have a Seven of Swords. All right. Well, so there's something here where, and this is something that I sort of have been feeling for a little while as I've been watching these readings come through and just sort of feeling the collective develop. There is a force that's working against the two of you being together. Sometimes it's legitimately a person, it's part of a family. It could be, you know, coworkers in some cases that are saying things that, if your person is believing them or buying into this, could be damaging to their impression and their ability to have a relationship with you. So, like I said, there could be some forces working against them here, and they may even kind of realize that. So, this is a difficult place to be. It's a bit of an uncomfortable place to be. It's not surprising to me that it feels like it wants to change. It's not something where you would be able to, you know, really comfortably stay long term. And when we see the tower, you know, that's really never a place that you feel like you'd be comfortable sustaining that long term. Let's check out this Seven of Wands and see what's in here, what's in store. So, the Seven of Wands, this was about how they felt about you. So, it was them feeling very aligned with you and very strong with you, but also sometimes at odds with you. So they kind of can't control you and don't love that about the situation. I kind of get that sense, that they wish they had a little bit more control over it. They love the fact that you have the type of personality that you have. They love the fact that the two of you interact the way that you do. But there are a couple of rough edges on it that could make things a little bit challenging. And I notice there's just a lot of shuffling. Sometimes when I get in to do a reading, the cards just pop out, you know, and you hardly get through even a single shuffle. But we've been getting a lot of shuffling here tonight for this one. All right, so we've got the Hermit card. All right, and this is kind of sending them off into that thinking cave a little bit, which is not necessarily a natural direction for this person to go when they get into this part of a relationship. This is a place where you've made them think and made them get in a little bit deeper with their emotions than maybe they felt comfortable doing. Um, and that's part of what is making them sort of retract and have a hard time communicating with you and coming back in the event that you've got a separation. All right, let's see. So we also have, yeah, we have the Six of Cups. So this is that nostalgic sort of energy. They think about you. They think about you an awful lot. And, you know, they're sitting off in their thinking cave here. They're thinking about how strong you felt together. There is a situation kind of where maybe there was a realization here. Maybe it was a conversation you had. Maybe it was just a few words that were shared. Maybe it was a moment of looking into each other that both of you are just really remembering. But that's something that that's really very real for them. So let's take a look at what it is that they want. So they want things to be copacetic. They don't want to have to struggle. This is a card, like I was saying, of cooperation. Oh, King of Coins. Well, who doesn't want that? Okay, so the King of Coins is, it's prosperity. This is an incredibly prosperous king. This is the businessman. It's the well-resourced king. Has everything that is needed in the material world. You know, this is, I like to say, this is the king that has his cake and eats it too. But there's a timing question. So I mentioned that this star, if it was in the reverse, could potentially mean a question of timing. And yes, it is divine timing, but it is still timing, and it's not necessarily now. And so what you see is, yes, there is a desire to work together, be copacetic, and have this cooperation, and to feel that safety and that sort of warmth and that head of household kind of feeling. but that time is not necessarily now. And so that's what's making things a little bit difficult. I see here that there's a hidden energy of something not being quite right, and I've kind of been wanting to clarify that basically since it came out. Let's take a look and see what's happening with this Justice card in reverse. So we have the Fool. Okay, so something's not quite right, but you've got somebody who has a lot of activation energy, I guess. They're able to jump off. Oh, okay. So we saw this energy. I think it might have even been in the thank you reading, but we saw this energy previously of somebody who had not, was not fulfilling or was not solving an issue. And instead was sort of translating that difficult energy where something was indeed wrong into an ability to jump off and into new things sort of energy, which has its place, has a ton of value. But when it's running away from something, it's connected to a situation that is basically a cycle that's not super useful. It's something to watch. It's something to be aware of. And so we see that it's happening somewhere in this situation. So it could be them, it could be you, it could even be both of you that are sort of embroiled in a bit of a cycle. And maybe it's a cycle that both of you have been through before with other people, but now you're going through it with them. And there's this piece, this is the hidden energy in there, you know, the piece that you might not realize. You might not realize how much this person is also, they also have a tendency to do this. But next we've got wishes coming true. So, like, let's look into that. Let's see what's happening with the star. Get a couple of clarifiers from that. All right, so the first one we have is the Three of Coins, and this is that same cooperation energy that we see over here. So the Three of Coins, Three of Pentacles is it's kind of the same card out of these two decks. And it's part of the conditions for these hopes and wishes coming true. That is what your person wants. And I don't know that they're going to get a lot of argument from you. It just seems like it's difficult to figure out kind of who's going to lead or be in control. There's a lot of thinking about each other. There's a lot of feeling like, you know, okay, something has to change. There's a lot of feeling like you're not ready for this. There's a lot of love here, but I don't know how to manage it or navigate this. And that is one of the things that I'm seeing most sharply over here is that feeling of fear. I don't know how to navigate this. And I don't have a, you know, a navigation tool. So I don't have an instrument. I'm in a boat without an oar, you know. That's kind of the pain, or the feel that I get from over here. And yet you're constantly, you being your person, is constantly kind of looking at this situation, having their mind blown by it, but not feeling like they're in a position to do very much about it, you know. But they are being very much inspired. And we even see that down here where their part in this cycle, they have been inspired. This is not somebody who's been lying to you about how they feel. They are feeling that passionate. They were feeling that close to you. They were feeling when you guys had that eye to eye sort of that look, and that gaze into one another. They meant it. That was real. But they are having like just a really hard time dealing with it. And they've got something or somebody in their ear over here that is making it somehow less valid for them. They're having a lot of time to think about this now, with communication with you not being so much at this point, but it's hard for them not to remember the really good times because that's what they want. They want that cooperation in those really good times. And it seems like that might be kind of what's coming this direction, but something has to end in order for that to happen. And then there has to be this bridge over to this copacetic energy that we see over here, which, you know, again, is what they want. But maybe today is not the right day. So we also see that, which tells me that this cycle may still have to play out in some kind of way. So this is really interesting. It does seem like here that your person is going to come back, but it's a little bit conditional because it depends on if this thing here changes, which I feel like is somehow related to this Seven of Swords. I feel like it's somehow related to whoever it is that's speaking ill or not being completely truthful maybe about the situation. whatever it is that's kind of working against you there, I feel like that's going to need to stop, but it may be that your person has to go ahead and insert themselves and stop that. There has to be an effort from your person's side to move to this cooperation sort of energy. And there will have to be something that happens with this. So I think this is about where we're going to stop for the YouTube reading, and we will transition over to the extended with a couple of questions. So we have this sort of yes, they're coming back, but it's conditional upon the ending of some other energy. And so, what I'd like to understand is maybe a little bit more about that. So, you've got this wishes coming true sort of energy here, and let's go ahead and dig into that and understand it. But then we've also got, how they're feeling about you is kind of amazing. So, they have really special memory together with you, but you blow their mind, and this that your relationship with them really is just sort of amazing. But they don't necessarily feel like they're ready for it, and they wish that everything would just kind of work together. So that's what I'm getting a little bit, but we'll look a little bit more into how they're feeling about you in the extended as well. So thank you so much. If this one resonated with you, I would say please like, share, and subscribe. And that way I'll be able to figure out what it is that you guys like, and I'll be able to keep putting things out of that nature. So hopefully I'll see you over in the extended. If not, then I will see you in another reading. And now for pile two. So for those of you who chose pile two, and that was the one with the tiger's eye. So this is a super cool pointer. I have a couple of tiger's eye pointers, but I think that one's my favorite. I'm going to be reading for you from the Mythic Tarot, and then I'm going to clarify with the Nightmare Before Christmas deck. And so we're looking at whether you are going to reunite, whether your person is coming back. But again, like I said in the introduction, if you heard that, we're looking to see if the energies are starting to move back in each other's direction, because that's kind of the first thing that has to happen. So we want to look at, to start with, the current energy that is flowing between the two of you, just to get a feel for what's happening. And as I was noticing, I was saying it in the extended from a different reading. This group, this overall tribe, this overall collective is expanding a little bit. And so the energy is kind of consistent as it grows, but we're also seeing some other storylines pop out of it. So let's see what the current energy is for your storyline. We have the Eight of Wands. So this is some kind of slow energy. So in the upright, you see there's an awful lot going on, and it's kind of intense, coming from a lot of directions. In the reverse, there's a lot less going on. And again, like I said, we'll clarify that here in a little bit, but that's just going to get us started with that current energy. So there's this sense of stagnation, or kind of the reason that we're seeing that things are not moving quickly is because there's really a feeling of things not moving quickly, like a stagnation. So let's see how your person is feeling about the relationship. And I get a kick out of using these cards during the Halloween season, because I discovered there's this store called Spirit Halloween. I don't know if they have those where you are. But the Spirit Halloween, they have their own tarot deck. And I happened to look it up online, and I found that it was the same art as the Mythic Tarot, only it has the artwork on the back, or artwork on the back from the store. So it's kind of interesting. So we have the Knight of Swords that's come out as how they are feeling about the relationship. And so they still feel like they can enact control over it, affect control over it. They still feel like they can kind of, they're still feeling very ambitious about things. The Knight of Swords is a card of action, and the swords, it's that air energy, and it's a swift, decisive action. You can see that kind of here on the card, but that's how your person feels about this relationship. And so That's really interesting. We'll have to clarify. Let's see how they feel about you. Okay. Let's see. We don't want either one of these. Sometimes, and I was just explaining this in a different reading. Sometimes multiple cards come up, and I want that one, and I want that one, and then sometimes I drop them, and it's not the right one. I know when it's the right time to pick them up. It's really interesting. But I also realize that when I do it on the screen in front of you, it may not be as obvious. So I just kind of wanted to explain what was going on there because every tarot reader has kind of a different way of doing things. So again, we're looking at how they are feeling about you. We know that about the relationship, they still feel like they have some modicum of control over it. If this is a single card, yes, we'll take it. All right. And so we have this tried to pop out earlier, but then it flipped itself back over. So this is the Three of Swords. And the Three of Swords is a card of feeling heartbreak, but with this one, it's kind of interesting. They put an alien on here, and it's about feeling out of place as well. But with it in the reverse like that, like you helped to mend a heartbreak that made them feel like they weren't even sure if getting back into something was right for them. And when they got together with you, or when they started to experience you, they realized, yes, absolutely, things could get way better. This is probably where maybe some of this decisive action came in, but now we see that things have really calmed down. So let's understand a little bit more about maybe what's driving that. We're going to look at what they would want to happen here. And the way that I like to ask this question, a lot of times it starts to elucidate their hopes and fears a little bit. So let's go ahead and get that card and just sort of understand what is it that they want to happen here. So you've got a person who is distant from you, whether it is emotionally, physically, both in a lot of cases. A lot of you are experiencing someone who has ghosted you, who has walked away, who has otherwise become completely out of the picture. And then others of you have kind of that sporadic contact. You never know when they're coming back. So we see the Queen of Swords, but it's in reverse. And so this is a card of it's a card of acceptance. Okay, so the Queen of Swords is almost a defensive energy sometimes, and it's a little bit of a less balanced version of the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is generally not super defensive, but she is absolutely not going to take any nonsense. In the reverse here, she's a little bit more flexible, a little bit more accepting, and that is what your person would like. There is something about this relationship that sort of intimidates them, and it's making them come forth with this really intense, brazen sort of energy. That's just the only words that really want to come out. But they are incredibly drawn to you because of how you make them feel. So they're definitely in I used the term quandary the other day, and I think it's right. Especially you see this energy that's kind of slowed down to almost a halt here. So let's take a look at the hidden energies, and that's what we're going to look at here, and just kind of understand what is it that Spirit wants you to know about this situation that you might not be able to see from where you're sitting. So there's the Magician card. You have the means to manifest yourself out of this situation or into something a little bit different, or to have things come out differently for you of your own doing. So that's really, really nice. As far as hidden energy goes, I would sure love to see that what's hidden behind the veil is that I have more potential than I even realized. And that's what I'm seeing here. So there is more potential for you. But the thing that you need to realize is when you feel like you're limited or you're experiencing those limitations, you would just be encouraged to really think twice about those and make sure that you are not falling prey to limitations for it that you don't need to. Let's see what's coming next for you here in this situation. So what's coming next for you? Oh, okay. Let's see here. I guess we don't want either one of those. When I get a single card that falls out, I will often take it. If it's multiples, I don't. And I'll just turn it over if it falls out face down. And then, if I have multiples come out face up or whatever, then I'll take that one. And we just have a single. So this is the Three of Wands. And this is that sense of having set things into motion, preparations having been made. So those preparations may be being made right now. Let's go ahead and get into clarify. And like I said, I want to clarify with the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot, and I thought, it was appropriate to use this one during October because there's this Halloween store, the Spirit Halloween store, that uses this deck as their deck. But I think, like I said, with different artwork on the back. So I thought it would be neat to do it with an actual Halloween deck because it's Nightmare Before Christmas. Also, the energies of the deck work pretty well together, so I thought that would be cool. But let's start by clarifying this Eight of Wands in reverse. So here, this is the energy of what's happening in the current energy. We have the Seven of Needles, which is going to be like the Seven of Swords, but it's in reverse. So this one's interesting because it's about self-trust and it's about somebody having to evaluate self-trust. I think it's both of you though. This situation has caused both of you to really kind of sit back and have to, you're in this slow moving sort of quandary energy now. So sitting back and saying, whoa, this is really something different. What do I think is going on here? And then do I even trust my own ability to, it's not do I trust myself so much as my ability to even understand what I just saw and what I was just a part of. Here we have the Tower that is in reverse, and this is that energy of something that is not being dealt with. So that makes sense with a slow moving energy that we've got something that's under the surface that's probably aching to come out, really wants to come out, but this may not yet be the time for it to come out. I get the sense that you still need to be thinking about the self trust on both sides. Make sure that you're ready to have this conversation before you bring it to the fore, because, like I was mentioning, this person is intimidated by you, but you really make them feel fantastic. You take away their pain. And, maybe they sense some of this manifestation energy that is so strong in you, or that is maybe even happening in you right now. But whatever it is, it kind of freaks them out. And so maybe it's coming on too strong for their taste. Maybe it's moving too quickly. Maybe it is. Sometimes people get scared because people are intense and they show themselves, and it's like, you take this risk showing your beautiful self to somebody, and then whether they can handle it or not, is always the question. So here's somebody who maybe had a hard time handling it, but would really like to give it another shot. So there's something that, again, is being set into motion here, and we'll learn a little bit more about that, and we'll clarify in a minute. But first, let's clarify this Knight of Swords. So remember, this is that super intensive energy that they associate with this relationship with you, and it's like it's a coming at you sort of energy, and you can even see it in the card. It's got a very coming at you sort of illustration on it, and the animation is kind of super intense. It's a card of motion and action, and so here we have the Three of Presents. That's the same. That's Earth energy. Okay, so Presence is like Pentacles, Three of Pentacles. So despite the fact that there's this super intensive sort of energy about the two of you, you're actually quite cooperative together, and that's one of the things that they think about you. But there is something about you that brings out of them a it's like you're triggering them somehow with the way that you are. Like, you're not doing anything that is out of sorts. If you were to go through everything you've done and everything you've said, nothing would really stick out as being inappropriate, or it would all seem like it sort of fits. But for them, there's something that's triggering them, that's causing them to sort of bring this extra intense energy to it, despite the fact that you guys actually work really well together. And then over here, we're going to clarify this one now. They are emotionally pacified by you. The moon. So the moon is about mystery, and it's interesting here. It's like they feel emotionally pacified by you, and they feel like they just kind of emotionally can, not necessarily this would happen, but they can just sort of lay their head on your shoulder, and you just will listen and be there for them. So we also have the death card, and the death card, doesn't signify death. It signifies something changing and ending. It's an end to something that transforms into something new. So here we've got this is how they feel about you. So they feel about you that there's still this mystery here that they frankly feel like they need to maintain some of that mystery because there's a lot of fear that happens that's causing them to kind of come at you. That causes them to feel awkward and unstable. Um, but they also feel so much emotionally pacified by you. You're helping them move through some very difficult changes, and we see that over here. It's not happening in fast motion. In fact, it could be said that it's not even really moving forward very much right now. But there is still sort of precursor work being done over here that's going to help allow you guys to move through the transformation that needs to happen. So let's take a look at this Queen of Swords in reverse. Get a couple of cards on that. So the Queen of Swords in reverse, we have the King of Needles. That's like the King of Swords. It's that air energy again, and it's logic. It's a very logical sort of fair energy, trustworthy, high ethics. We also have the Three of Needles, though. And this is a super interesting energy. When I put all of this together, and let me just see if I can kind of break this down for you a little bit here. This Queen of Swords in reverse was kind of the answer to what do they want to have happen. And it was, they wanted things to get a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit softer. They wanted you to be more accepting and approachable. And it's because they know that something has gone dreadfully wrong here and they don't feel great about it. They would rather approach this from a more logical perspective than from an emotional one. Not just because they think it's going to present them in a better light, but also because they think it's going to be really difficult to proceed down an emotional path. So that's something that you get to decide. If this person is coming back, and it does look like there's a potential that they could be, you need to decide if this is going to be okay because what they want is really not to address the emotion of things very deeply. They would love to move past that and have you be able to accept them moving past it. But let's look into this magician energy. So this is the hidden energy. This is the but you could actually have anything you want card. Let's see what we've got here. So we have the Page of Presence. You've got something to learn before you're able to truly unlock the power, the true power of this magician card. So that's part of why it's under the surface, right? Okay, and so we also have the Two of Presence, which is going to be like the Two of Pentacles, and it's about balance, and it's about not being in balance right now. So here, let me move these out a little bit so you can see them. So this is, like I said, this is the magician. It's that underlying energy because it's that hidden energy. It's that underlying energy of manifestation and being able to do anything that you need to. But it's not quite ready yet. One of the reasons that it's under the surface and it's not something that you can truly see very well is that you do still have some learning to do and you have some balancing to do. So this is you spending time in meditation. It is you thinking deeply about the situation that's happening here and examining your own relationship with yourself and your self-trust. Because this tower is not going to stay upside down for very long. You've got a situation that is not being dealt with for one reason or another, and at some point here, it is going to be dealt with. And there are some emotions that could potentially come out that could make things a little bit challenging. Whether that's you guys being together in one room, here, you're having this logical conversation and or not, I mean, because this is what you do to them emotionally. So they're being triggered. They're not entirely sure how to handle it. They have this sort of coming at you energy, despite the fact that they're like, wow, we work really well together. Um, so let's see here. A lot of threes in this. Let's take a look at this Three of Wands here and just kind of understand what's happening with this preparation or this groundwork that's being laid right now, because that's what this Three of Wands feels like. Sometimes it's waiting for something to happen. We got both of our cards. But this is something a little different. So we've got the King of Potions, which, Okay, gonna have to think about what that means or what the best way to say that is. And the Knight of Candles. All right, so we've got a little bit of fire energy, got a little bit of water energy. And so this King of Potions that's in the reverse, that's the equivalent of the King of Cups. And when he's in the reverse, he's experiencing some emotional unrest, and that is really not something that he likes to do. The King of Cups likes to be perceived as very emotionally stable. He likes to feel very emotionally stable. So when you see him in the reverse like this, things are not in his comfort zone. And then over here, you have the Knight of Wands, essentially. So this is the Knight of Candles. This is a really intense sort of energy as well. And so this is what's coming up next. You know, there's a super intense energy, but there's also this I'm not entirely stable in my emotions sort of energy, and also this is your person's manifestation energy. So that's kind of there's energy coming from them. It makes me feel like you are going to see them come back. You are going to see this because you've got this time here right now where things are not entirely being dealt with. You're working on your self trust and just sort of understanding, not necessarily working on it, but taking your internal temperature and understanding where both of you are with your self trust. And things are just kind of not moving forward very quickly right now. But the energy that you get or that you have that this person has about you is very very motion oriented. It's very intense. It's not the motion of standing still, and it comes from this really emotional place. Even though they would prefer to deal with it in a much more logical fashion. But there's so much emotion in them, they're going to have to deal with that at some point because this is, like I said, you make them feel just incredible here. There's this sense of mystery that they would like to maintain, but you're helping to help them move through some of these difficult changes here. Whether or not you're going to be able to unlock this this supreme ability to manifest has everything to do with whether you're going to be able to get more balance and whether you're going to be able to learn this lesson that wants to be learned here. So that's kind of part of maybe the questions that I want to take into the extended is what is going to happen next there. So you've got this manifestation ability that you could potentially unlock, you know, by getting more. I don't know if it's getting organized. Let's look into what exactly that would take and what's likely to happen there. So, what is it that gets you to this energy? That'll be, you know, in the form of the bridge question that I like to ask. And let's look at what on earth is happening here. So we have, you know, things are moving toward something. Theoretically, they're moving. If it goes from the Three of Wands to the Four of Wands, then theoretically it's going to something that is more stable. And at this point, it is relatively unstable. So it's looking to bond. It's looking to, you know, make something that's different. And so you have this other unstable energy that's kind of clarifying it though, and it just tells me a lot could happen. So we should take a look at what is likely to happen because your next step, you know, this isn't way off in the distance. This is kind of near term what's likely to happen. Well, stuff is going to boil. Okay. Good to know. What exactly does that mean? What does it boil into? You know, and what do you need to do in order to get where you need to go? Because you have some decisions to make. Again, like I said, with this sort of energy over here, this is almost a they would like to push just kind of sweep things under the rug and forget all about this whole bit where they got triggered and things like that. But they're not going to be able to because it's tied to this, and that's very much tied to how they feel about you. So I think we'll take a closer look at how they are feeling about you because there's a lot going on there. It's not necessarily in conflict, but let's see what the interplay is. Let's understand also what the bridging energy is going to need to be to get you from where you are today to this sort of energy here, where you have that magician sort of energy, that manifestation energy. And let's also look at what's happening next with your person and you, because it looks like again the energies are coming toward each other, which is the question we asked. However, it doesn't necessarily give us as much detail as I was hoping for, so we'll take a look at that in the extended as well. So if this resonated with you, I would just ask for you to like and share and subscribe so that we can stick together. Hopefully, I'll see you over in the extended, and if not, then hopefully I will see you in another reading down the road. And now we'll take a look at pile three. So pile three had the green Aventurine. That one's super cool. I'm going to be reading for you with the Lightseers Tarot. So that's one we see a lot out on different channels. I don't read with it quite as often, but today was the day. And then I'm going to clarify with the Mystic Mondays deck. So those two actually work really well together. I'm looking forward to that. And we're going to be looking at the question that we're asking is whether you are going to reunite. But really, if you heard the preamble, kind of what we're going to look at is whether your energies are moving toward each other, because ultimately, that's the first thing that has to happen. So we're going to start by getting the current energy that's flowing between the two of you right now, and just kind of getting that current energy. That's going to change over time. It really changes over time, but a lot of times when we go to clarify it, whoa, Eight of Wands in reverse. Okay, so Eight of Wands in reverse is it's a quiet energy. It's interesting though. The reason that I had that reaction is it's the same card that came out in this position, different deck, but same card that came out in this position in the reading for pile two. So there's something to think about, but it's about energy that's not moving very quickly. So let's get an idea about how they feel about the relationship itself. How they feel about the relationship. And this could be, oh, we've got it, the world. So this relationship they think of as like the happy ending. That's a fabulous card to have come out in that place. So to be thought of as the world, it really is like they think the world of this relationship. Let's see how they're feeling about you. We know that this relationship is something that they consider to be like a happy ending. So is this a single card? I'll take it. Wow, the Four of Wands. So I can't make this up. This is a happy new beginning. It is stability, it is happiness. This person really associates you with some incredibly positive things here. They think the world of the relationship with you. Things are not moving right now. So when we clarify, hopefully we'll understand a little bit more about what's happening there. But first, let's understand what they would like to have happen. So as I ask this question, it also includes kind of what their hopes and dreams are when we look into that. What would they like to have happen? So we've got, and I just take that top card. We've got the King of Wands in reverse. So here we see the King of Wands, and he's successful, he's assertive, he's can be a little bit arrogant, he can be an incredible leader, he can be one that forges the path. He's that fire energy. In the reverse, and when he's not balanced, which is kind of what this card is referring to, there can be this sort of sense of wanting to control things and working to control things to the detriment, almost to a self-sabotaging degree, and so what they would like to have happen here is that's one of their fears. They don't want anybody self sabotaging what's happened here. But more what I get from this is a regret for having already done so. So it's kind of this feeling of, I know I made a mistake and I wish that we could go back to the way things were before they got difficult. We'll clarify and see if that's really what's going on there, but that's kind of what I'm getting off of this card right now. So they really think highly of you. Things aren't moving right now, but they wish they could go back to a time when things were a little bit easier. So let's see what kind of hidden energies are floating around in this situation for you, and just sort of what spirit wants you to know. but that might not be readily evident to you at this time. So, it isn't something that's necessarily being hidden from you. It might just be something that, from your vantage point, you're not able to see it or you haven't seen it yet. So, we've got the moon here. And of course, not being able to crack mysteries is not uncommon. So, the moon is really about mysteries. And when we look to see what's in the hidden energy, just know that there are some. There are things here in this situation that have not yet been uncovered. But let's look into the future a little bit. And so this isn't deep into the future. This is just sort of that next step. But what can you expect to be that next step? Because we asked if these energies were coming toward each other. So far, what we've discovered is there's not a lot of movement in the energy right now. They love your energy and the energy of this relationship. There are some pretty significant fears here, could be based in some realities. There are some things here that haven't quite come out yet. And we already know that there's going to be something for them to overcome in order for you guys to come back into good communication anyway. So that's kind of the context when we're asking this question: what is likely to happen next? And really, is that energy moving toward one another? So we've got the Six of Swords, and it's in reverse. So that's a healing that's not really happening. When the Six of Swords is in the upright, when it's in the upright, it is a sense of moving from rough waters into calmer waters. But here we see it's not moving that way. So your person is kind of staying in the rough waters, or possibly you are. So let's go ahead and clarify. And like I said, we're going to clarify with the Mystic Mondays deck. And so this one, we're going to start first with that Eight of Wands that is in reverse. Get a little bit more understanding about this energy, this current energy that's not moving very quickly. So there's pain from an ending, and it is, even if the pain isn't recent, even if the ending isn't recent, it feels just like it just happened. So there's this feeling of sitting in discomfort, which I've said it in other readings, is not necessarily a bad thing. Learning to sit in discomfort allows you to learn some lessons sometimes. It's obviously not a place that you'd want to stay, but there may be some benefit in feeling it and letting the experience go through you. And with the energy of not moving very quickly right here, there's almost very little choice in the matter. You kind of have to feel it. But this feels like it just happened yesterday, and yet it also feels like you kind of have that emotional high ground. So there's a feeling here that you don't exactly regret what you did. So that's a good thing, because there's a little bit of shame in here about you know I think in the beginning I said something about how the chasers weren't, if you guys are the chasers, you're not really chasing this runner. You're feeling this experience, but you're not falling prey to it, I guess. And so you're just kind of sitting in this difficult energy. The last time I saw this card come up, I think I called it the quandary energy. And feeling this pain like it just happened yesterday, but also realizing, this is, I didn't make as big of a fool of myself as I was afraid that I could have. This could have gone worse. I am actually not chasing. I kind of get that sense here in that current energy. So let's go ahead and clarify the world. And again, this is how they feel about the relationship. They really just think incredibly highly of you and this relationship based on what these cards are that have come out so far. And honestly, with self-worth like this, where you're not chasing your runner and you're just sort of sitting in that experience and in that emotion, learning from it, that is, honest to goodness, the best thing that you could be doing right now. Let's see here. So we're clarifying the world, and we're understanding, that's too many cards. We're understanding how they feel about this relationship, because it's interesting when we look at whether they're moving back towards you right now. It's like they're not able to move back right now, but they're in this quandary energy here, kind of like you are. And they may be having a different experience in there. So I see you reliving that pain, growing from it, knowing that you're going to grow from it, and using it very intentionally that way. I'm not convinced that's what's happening with your person. So we have both of our cards here. And as you probably know by now, I only take the top one when I have multiple ones flip over. But when I get a couple of groups like that, I can take the top one off of each one of those groups. So we've got the World card, and that is how they see you. They also, this High Priestess is, it's big. The feeling that's coming out of here is intuition, really. Intuition, and yet this feeling of overthinking. And so this is all the relationship. And so this relationship is like the most amazing thing they've ever dealt with, but they have no idea how to deal with it. So they're trying to reach into their intuition to get better at it, but they are very concerned that everything they are doing is wrong, and it's kind of slowing them down. And that's part of what we're seeing here. And part of what is stopping them and creating some of this mystery here. So there's often a link here between these cards and this spread. There is definitely some mystery here that's kind of that hidden energy. You know, there are things that you don't know, but by the same token, they are really trying their best to process this, and it's being very challenging for them. So let's take a look at this Four of Wands here. Get some clarifiers for that one. And this is how they feel about you. And that is like how you want somebody to be feeling about you. My gosh, that is that happy new beginning. It's the marriage card sometimes. And, you know, in some of these cases, for sure, this person wants to be married to you. So we have the Knight of Swords. You make them really want to jump out in your direction and do something rash. Here we have the Wheel of Fortune, but it's in reverse. It's a really neat Wheel of Fortune card. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter which way you look at it. Either way, it's turning. Actually, in the reverse, it's not turning so much, or it's not turning so quickly. So one of the things that they see about you is that they can't move forward with you, or you're not moving forward together for whatever reason. So there is, the brakes are being applied here by somebody for some reason. It might be by both of you, but they are incredibly drawn to you and would love to move in your direction decisively. Wow, that is the emotion that they have for you here is amazing. It bears looking into in the extended just for fun. Like, this person is crazy about you. All right, so looking at this King of Wands in reverse, and remember, this is like their hopes and fears. It's in what they wish, or what they wish they could get around, or, and in this case, it is almost kind of that. So what has come out here is they wish things could go back to the way they were before they became difficult. But let's get a couple of clarifiers on that to see what it really means. So that's a single card. It is the Ten of Cups. And so, ooh, all right. If you look at some of the readings that have come out here in the not too distant past, they have warned you about situations where you look at it and it's like it's too good to be true. So this is something that kind of is popping up almost as a warning in this reading, and it's almost got that feeling to it. Um, your person, huh? So how can I put this? Let me get the other clarifier on it. Because there's a definite tendency in this person to control things and to kind of control what comes out, what comes out in the narrative. And they wish things went back to a time before you were able to really see that. They want you to be able to cooperate and work well together. That's what this Three of Pentacles is. You have seen behind the curtain. That is really what's happening here. So the sense of that being too good to be true, like you have figured out that something is too good to be true. You've identified some red flags, which is in no way surprising based on what they know about you and about this relationship. But it's very difficult and sort of damaging for them because they live their entire life in those shadows. They're able to sort of hide there and navigate in showing you, or controlling that narrative and making a person feel like something's going to be really incredible. and you found them out. But they wish they could go back to a time before you found them out. That is really interesting. So that's, I hope I did a good job of describing that. Sometimes I get in there and I totally know what it is I want to say. I just don't know how to put it into words the best. So let's look at the moon, and clarify that one. So that's more than one card. If I have just one fallout, I take it and turn it over. But um, if it's multiples, I just pick them up and put them back in the deck like that. But we had some turn over, and when they turn over, I just take the top one, unless I'm guided to take more. So we have the star card in reverse, and the star card in reverse is about timing. It's about divine timing, but it's about what it's saying here is kind of that it's got that not right now sort of vibe. So we know that there are some I want to use the term secrets, but definitely mysteries that aren't known, and but it's not the time for those to come out right now. And then we have the sun here, and so the sun here, the sun in this case is it's definitely happiness. Like there's a lot of happiness, but it's also the sun shining on everything and kind of bringing things out into the light. So you've got mystery being defined by this light and knowing that some of what's in the mystery here, it's not time for it to come out yet. But when it does, it's going to be, it'll be incredibly enlightening. It will be very helpful to know. So this feels to me, it's we asked about hidden energies, and basically the answer was yes, there are plenty of hidden things. It's not time for you to know them yet. It will be incredibly enlightening when it does come out, but hang on, because basically there's more to come. Just realize that there is more to come. And so, looking at what is to come, we see here that we've got in the very near future energies that they're having a hard time moving back towards you. So we could maybe take a look when we get into the extended, a couple of things, both to understand, whew, look at this. This is like how they feel about you. But we can take a look at how they feel about you a little bit more, because I mean, I'm trying to understand and reconcile some of what I'm seeing over here with how they feel about you. Like they really, really like you. If you got the impression that there was an incredible bond here, it is because there was. It is because there was, and actually, that is part of what has blown their mind so much that they can barely operate. So they are sitting here in this, I'm really not healing yet. They're still in shock a little bit. And it's because of this partnership, the potential for partnership that they saw between the two of you here. And this is in kind of the next step sort of energy. So this is what's coming for you guys, is them realizing, oh my gosh, I'm not feeling healed from this. I'm not getting better. I can't stop thinking about it. So that is an interesting thing that doesn't always pop up. Sometimes your person compartmentalizes. When we do these readings, we see that the person compartmentalizes and is very capable of not thinking about things. Your person can't do it. So they've got the chariot. They're actually going to be moving themselves forward. Right now, they're sort of relying on the wind, I guess, or these birds on this card, to move them into those calmer waters. But here we see them actually getting to a place where they're going to start driving this on their own. So, wow. And I guess that makes sense, that them wanting to drive it on their own, they're really driven by this desire to be in this partnership with you, but we still know it's not the right time for all of these mysteries to come out. So there may be more to it. And we actually know there is more to it, because when we look at what they want, they wish they could turn back time and go back to a time when things are simpler and you hadn't figured out and seen behind the curtain just yet what it was that they were trying to sort of dictate and control. And they just want things to be copacetic and work well together. But right now, nothing's happening. We've got this really sort of slow energy where you are both reliving the pain of the ending. But you in particular are feeling, like I said, you have that emotional high ground, and you're able to say, I know things are going to be okay. If you sensed before, like I said, that this person was crazy about you, they absolutely are. So it's not an easy sort of experience, but they are very, very crazy about you. They know that something can't move forward. They understand that there's some overthinking and anxiety when it comes to and you understand that there's some overthinking and anxiety when it comes to trying to use your intuition to navigate this. But they just think the world of you, and like they've got this stable marriage energy sort of feel when they feel about you. It's just amazing. But this, I'm curious about this. So I guess I'd like to understand when we go into, and we're going to go into the extended here in just a little bit, like we understand here they're going to have to actually like crowbar to make things move because the energy is not necessarily moving them toward you or toward that healing and that calmness that they seek. So they're going to try and move themselves toward it, but I'm wondering if it's going to be successful because I'm wondering if it's going to be done the right way for the right reasons. So we'll look a little bit more into like what it is that is actually likely to happen here because I am super curious. I mean, yes, we'll look at how they actually feel about you a little bit more deeply, although we already know it's fantastic. It is also complex, and we see that complexity here. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more of an understanding there. And then we'll also look at, what has to happen in order to get you to this place where some of these mysteries come out, or at least to where you're in a less tumultuous place, where you're feeling like whether this energy moves or not, you're going to be in a better place. You're not constantly going to be reliving the energy of this ending. So, what kind of has to get you there? What is that bridging energy? So, we'll look into that. So I would just say I'm going to move on over to that now. If this resonated with you, please do like and share and subscribe so that we can stay together. I would love to keep reading for you. I am completely having the biggest blast doing this, even though the messages are sometimes very hard to deliver. They're kind of all over the board. But I would just say thanks so much for sticking with me here through pile three. Hopefully, I'll see you over in the extended. But either way, I look forward to seeing you in another reading.